So the political choices were made, and the obvious first two, the choice for the Imperial and the choice for the Initiative. After that, diplomacy for the Letnev. They got a bonus on that. They had a hard call there between diplomacy and political. Political would have given them a handful of cards to help defend themselves, but diplomacy allows them to say, hey, Green, no. I think that's more important at this moment, to prevent one of their... They have 3 opponents right now, basically. Maybe 4 if you count yellow, but they're having discussions earnestly with the yellow player since they have mutual enemies in red. They're going to leave each other alone right now, I think, but also that they may have some kind of stronger alliance in the future. Right, what's next here? So, the Mentak took, along with their 2 stolen trade goods, the political option, and that also came with a bonus. They have a lot of cards, but they're going to be doing a lot this turn, so they want the combat advantages for them to attack black as well as perhaps yellow. And yellow's doing quite well, so nobody should object too much to attacking them, except black, who's threatened so severely they'll help them. Yellow took the warfare option. They figure that's going to give them a chance to break out and maybe give them the edge to turn this red tide back. They've got to worry, though. There's a pretty big red fleet here that could just jump over and take Mechatol and kind of abandon the black war. If it were later in the game, that might happen. Right now, I don't think it's likely. I think yellow's pretty safe having seized this. Green took the logistics option. This is something they were considering anyway. There aren't many things left. Trade, they got plenty of money that they produce. The other option was technology, which is always tempting. It was tough to turn that away and put a bonus marker on it, but I think they really, really needed the logistics. But here's the problem. Whom do they attack? I mean, really, they're sitting in a situation where black's going to drop the diplomacy hammer on them and prevent them from attacking black. What does green do? This was a position they were in before. They may move forward against blue. Having purple bottled up there is actually probably sort of cool, but they may move against blue. They may try to liberate purple and allow them out to help finish blue off. I don't know. We'll see how that all turns out. First time around, some jockeying for position, but blue did move in and take the planet. Actually, there was some significant fighting. The barony fired off their diplomacy. It all happened in the early half. Or Mentax, or whatever they're called, moved in and took both these planets. Black tried to, but failed to retreat from that combat. No, you can't retreat, so they had to fight. Yeah, they wanted to retreat. It's just so damn hard in this game. Yellow built, planning for an attack, and purple fired its laser off and damaged a dreadnought, but didn't get any further than that. Okay, so around and around we go. Trying to remember what big things kind of happened. I think not too much, just a lot of production and delaying, but that production got highlighted by purple firing off the Imperial ability, which they have to do before they pass, and just about everyone taking the additional production on it. And now we've got some really huge fleets ready to smash into each other. And I think that's pretty likely to happen. Green and purple have come to some sort of agreement to fight blue. It's just a matter of the delaying actions before that are taking place, where Green didn't really want to commit to it until this movement had been made, And then they had other actions. I don't remember what, to tell you the truth. They blew away this planet. That's what they did this time. Which may have been kind of a waste, but they had an event card, or an action card, or whatever. They could just get rid of the production center there. And it was a rebellion, got rid of a troop. There were no troops, so it became neutral at that point. And that took a potential thorn away for this advance into blue. Now at this point, green and purple are kind of negotiating, okay, how does it work if we're allied? How are we going to work together? Because, you know, green doesn't want to enter into this if purple has to fight their way through them. And that's what it looks like right now. So they're going to have to come to some sort of understanding on that. All right, well, it looks like we're ready for another time around. Black had played a diplomatic immunity card earlier, and this enabled their fleet to move forward and attack here at Lazar and Sakulag. The red player played a skillful retreat card, which allowed their fleet to get out of there because it was damaged. It didn't stand a chance against this massive armada. That diplomatic immunity is probably not necessary. The skillful retreat's huge, though, because it allows you to retreat without being into an active area, which actually means this fleet can activate again now, even though it already has, which is pretty cool. Place a command counter from your reinforcements. No. A command counter goes in there. Okay. But this is one of the few ways of actually being able to retreat into an empty area. But it does get a command counter on it, so they can't reactivate. Alright, on to Red's reaction, but I don't know what they can do. Their fleet's not fast enough to get up there, and they may not have enough supply to hold that whole thing. So green indeed has rescued purple. Sort of. They took Joel. That's not theirs. Part of the agreement is that whatever green kind of conquers down there, as long as they're not being too greedy, purple will allow them to kind of share. And it depends on how much effort there is put. So for taking this, Joel is not an unreasonable, safe planet for them. If they take another area, if they are the only ones to be able to move here first, for example, then maybe one of those planets would be theirs. But the majority of the force is going to have to be purple's. And they're going to make the major drive downward, and they get at least one planet in each system is part of the agreement. If they get less than that, it's going to be a problem. And they're going to try to see if they can take blue down. Now, black and blue are probably coming to a peace at this point in terms of, yeah, you know, this was kind of questionable anyway. So now blue can devote its energy against the green and purple, or at least the purple once they come down. And black can worry about its problems, which may be green, perhaps yellow, but that seems unlikely. They've kind of come to an agreement. And certainly red. Alright, now we're moving to yellow, and we see that red withdrew from in front of yellow as kind of their turn. That's just being prudent there. It was obvious they were going to be attacked. And we've made things around again, and yellow has pushed down and taken the system that was abandoned. Now, they considered moving everything in, and they tried to consider different balances. Certainly had the red fleet been there, they would have moved everything in. They felt a little bit more at risk here in terms of, that's a big black fleet. That could conceivably take their home planets. They'd rather not lose that and at least put a speed bump in the way, so they left a couple of fighters and a cruiser behind, with the figuring that those could conceivably catch up if need be after a production, who knows. But they really didn't want to leave such an invitation open. They were willing to do that before when it looked more dire, but with the red forces withdrawing, well, in a defensive position, it may be okay to be a little bit weaker than it was moving forward, where you had to take the attack in. Alright, so now we're on a new one, and the black player is going to start. This is still would be very, very easy for him to take out. There's no question there. So there's kind of a... It's hard to tell whether or not he wants, to grab some big riches against a guy who's doing pretty well, actually. He's in second place behind the one who's just been unleashed for some unknown reason. And also is sitting on Mechatol, which may be very important to some of the other victory conditions that haven't come up yet. So that's kind of tricky. Let's come up this time. I'm spending a lot. That's going to be tough to get right now. Anyway, we'll see where it kind of passes to from there. When we go again, a couple of passes. And not a lot's happening here. Red destroyed the space dock that yellow had over on using an action card. And green fired off the logistics strategy. A lot of people followed suit, grabbing extra counters for this. Just a couple, whatever they had left in their planets that weren't expended for production, pretty much. All right. I guess it gets. We're winding down near the end with pleasant, unmuffled motorcycles. Ought to be following the same laws as other vehicles, no? And we still have the political action to go. I don't think green has much that they want to do. They could still make some repositionings, but they don't have the speed in their carrier to make it really that worthwhile. And that's one of the bothers here. On the other hand, if they can get through the jump hall, that might be more tempting than what they can reach down here against blue. Okay, so the turn's ending and we're coming to the status phase, and I'll do the cleanup there and come back for the victory points, but I wanted to go over what happened. There was a rather exciting little political action phase where a couple of cards came up, and we see that green did indeed move in to that wormhole. Oh, red wanted to play something. Red had one more card they wanted to play. They got in the political phase. They played a ghost ship, which put a destroyer in a wormhole. That gives them a little extra defense location, just something that slipped out of God knows where to join them. But yeah, the political status, let me go over. So, God, I shuffled things, crap. I don't remember which one it was. I don't know where it went. Crap. Okay, well, there was a really cool one. There were actually... Ah, here it is. Right? No. Ah, yeah. Well, this was the first one, the aggressive strategy. I think I'm mistaken which one got selected. Each player can immediately, in order of play, execute the secondary ability of his own strategy card. This got squelched by an action card by the drawer, the Mentax. They said, I don't want to use mine, I'm high on cards. Then they drew one that they really didn't want. And this is the second time this has happened to someone, but which is the science community speaker. the green player got elected with the support of the Jolnar universities as having this power to execute the secondary ability of technology without spending a command counter. In addition, the cost to purchase technologies is reduced by 1. He had a lot of votes available. No one else really had many. He has the veto power in his hand. Someone may want to prevent that from happening. Let me see, because there's probably a veto card. I remember there being one kicking around. Now this guy, well, he'd definitely play it if he had it. But I don't think that's what his other card was called. Yeah, I think it's actually in green's hand, and he wants this. Yeah. He's got a council dissolves, which could have prevented it from happening. Anyway, just by having a lot of untapped planets, because he didn't do a massive build operation, he did a fairly minor one, he's got this new ability that's quite potent. And he probably would have won anyway. He definitely would have. But Jolnar had that 3 extra votes to throw in as well. And, you know, this is kind of a show of good faith kind of thing. And everybody else, of course, was opposed. Alright, let me do the status, and I'll come back, show you where we are. So we swung around and looked at the victory points, and the only thing that moved was 1 point for the green player. They spent 10 resources. They were able to do this because, for the same reason they were able to win the election that they had all of these resources set unused. They actually had them unused so they could buy that victory point cause. Their current fleet is almost everything. You can see they've got some destroyers and of course they could buy as many fighters or ground units as they wanted. But it just didn't seem that important. It seemed better to save their resources for an extra victory point. Yeah, it's a lot of resources for a victory point, but there wasn't much they could buy with them. So that's the end of, you see only 6 cards here, but that's the end of the 7th turn because we had the 1 turn where things got boned. And again, we'll select new powers, but I'm going to load this up first.